started on our mats today on our backs. So lie down, bend the legs, bring the soles of the feet to the outer edges of the mat and let the knees fall together. So knees are touching, feet are wide, arms out by the sides, palms facing up. Maybe you lift the chest a little bit to get those shoulder blades underneath you. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Eyes open or closed, up to you. Just keep them soft. Exhale, back out through the mouth. And we'll do 2 cleansing breaths like that. Big breath in. Sigh it out the mouth. Last one. This time, breathe in through the nose. Slowly back out through the nose. Keep going with your Ujjayi. And then bring the hands onto the body. Left hand to the heart, right hand to the belly. Keep breathing. Getting that feedback on the inhale from the belly and the chest lifting. And feeling it all come back together on the exhale. And then blink open the eyes, heel toe the feet closer together, more like hip width distance. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Then extend the right leg up. You can interlace the fingers behind the back of the right thigh. And up to you with how much of a bend there is in the right leg. It doesn't have to be all the way straight, especially if you're feeling a deeper opening with a bend. Keep that heel going up and the toes coming down toward the face. And that left foot can stay where it is. If you want to add more intensity and it feels good, you could extend the left leg out in front of you. Just if you feel any tension in the lower back or it's just taking away from the overall stretch in the back of the right leg, then just come back to the left foot on the mat. Still breathing the same way we started. Then bring the sole of the left foot back onto the mat. Cross the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Coming into thread the needle. So you can keep the left foot down on the mat, especially if you're feeling a nice opening in the right hip. Or bring the legs in, reach through, grab the back of the left thigh. Most important part is keeping that right foot flexed to keep the right knee protected. So that means the right toes point straight up. And you continue to press that right knee away from you gently as the left knee comes in toward the left shoulder. Set the left foot down onto the mat, right foot down onto the mat. Hug the left knee in toward the chest. Extend the left leg up. Interlace the fingers behind the hamstring. Play with the bend in that left leg. See if you need one. And bring those toes down toward the face. Right foot can stay where it is, or you can play with reaching it out away from you, keeping both legs nice and long. Right foot comes back onto the mat. Cross the left ankle on top of the right thigh. Find thread the needle on this side. Keep the left foot flexed And then make sure you're even on the hips. You don't want to rock too far over onto the left hip, taking away some of the hip opening. And then set the feet back down onto the mat. Extend the legs out in front of you. Lift the chest and reach forward. So palms are facing up. You're looking at the feet. Hug the belly in and then hover the feet away from the mat. And you're in Ardha Navasana. So core is hugging in to keep that strength and support throughout the whole body. Legs are working, arms still reaching forward. Gaze is forward at the toes. And then start to look up. And you can use the hands if you want to. We're coming to Navasana. So you'll lift the chest, hug the belly in, and keep the chest and the gaze going up. Inner thighs are squeezing together. You're still reaching forward with the hands. And then make sure you're still with your Ujjayi breath. We'll come back down to Ardanavasana. So you're hovering the heels and the shoulder blades away from the mat. Get long. Come back up, Navasana. And you're trying to balance right by the sacrum. So there's that flat spot just above the glutes. Keep squeezing the thighs together, lower down, Ardanavasana. Navasana. One more, Ardha. Back up, Navasana. Set the feet down to the mat. Grab the tops of the shins. Sit up nice and tall. Maybe arch the back a little bit. And then we'll bring the hands back behind us. Feet stay on the mat. Fingertips pointing out toward the sides of the mat, so away from you. And from here, you'll press into the hands and the feet at the same time. Lift the hips up, coming into reverse tabletop. So get really long through the thighs, lengthening away from you. Chest is open. You can look up, pushing the mat away from you with the hands and the feet, and then slowly release. Bring the hips back down to the mat. And we'll do one more just like that. Hands down, feet down, press into both at the same time. Lift the hips, reverse tabletop. So think about making a table with the front side of the body. Keeping it all even. On your next exhale, begin to lower the hips back down to the mat. And then you'll come forward onto hands and knees, making your way to tabletop. Tabletop the other way. All right. And so let's turn the hands around. So you can do what we did for reverse tabletop and turn the hands out to the outer edges of the mat, or you can turn the hands all the way around so that the fingertips point toward the knees. On the inhale, reach the heart forward, lift the tail. And on the exhale, round the spine, chin in toward the chest. Keep going on your own, inhaling forward and back. Stay even in the hands. You're spreading the fingertips. You're pressing down into all 10 fingertips, heel of the hand. Last cycle, forward and back. Take your time. We'll meet back in a neutral spine. Turn the hands back around if you change the way they were pointing. Walk the hands forward and come down onto your stomach. So you're lying all the way down. And we'll do some wide cobras. So make some space if you need to. Fingertips come to the ground outside of the mat. Hands are wide. Tops of the feet press down. Lift and spread the chest. And exhale, let that go. Two more like that. Inhale up. So you can come up higher with these wide cobras. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Bring the hands in toward the lower ribs. Press back up to hands and knees. Take child's pose. Bring the big toes together. Separate the knees. Crawl the fingertips as far forward as you can and bring the forehead down. So child's pose is always here for you anytime you need it. You don't need to be cued. You just come into it whenever it sounds like it's a good idea. Look forward at the hands, shift forward onto the knees, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. So first downward facing dog, if you want to pedal out the feet or move the hips side to side, or even take a wider stance with the feet, especially if the legs are tight, maybe play with one or a few of those options. And even a deep, generous bend in the knees is a nice way to get more length in the spine, which is your first goal with your downward facing dog. And from here, step the right foot forward up between the hands. Runner's lunge, but we'll set the back knee down. Up to you if you keep those back toes tucked or untucked. Reach the arms all the way up. And then bend the left elbow. So it's like you're reaching down between the shoulder blades, and then grab the right elbow or the left elbow with the right hand and get into that shoulder a little bit more. You might even feel a deeper opening in that left quad, top of the hip area too with this. Stay looking forward so the head wants to go down. If you continue to look forward, it'll help you keep that elbow back. Then reach the arms all the way back up. Bring the hands together right in front of the heart. So head's right over the hips. We'll keep the head just where it is. You're just going to rotate the chest over to the right. So head stays over the hips. You're reaching back with that right elbow, lifting up through the crown of the head and driving down through the legs. So you get really long in the spine as you twist. And it doesn't need to be the deepest twist, just one that feels pretty good at this point in your practice. It's still early. Then come back to center facing forward. Hands come down to the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, straighten the front leg, coming into a modified pyramid. So you can let the head and the neck go. You're high on the ball of the back foot. Inhale forward to a lunge, hands to the mat, step back to downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Set that back knee down. When you're ready, reach the arms all the way up. Bend the right elbow. Grab the right elbow with the left hand. Get that shoulder in place. Stretch those fingertips down between the shoulder blades. And then you're lifting the upper body up away from the hips. Looking forward. Reach the arms all the way up. Bring the hands together down in front of the heart. Open the chest to the left, keeping the head right where it is. You're not leaning forward, staying upright. Then start to lift up through the crown of the head. Get longer in the leg so that right thigh is moving away from you. Reach back with the left elbow. Then come back forward. Hands come down to the mat. Keep the hands underneath the shoulders. Back toes tucked. Straighten both legs. Fold over the left leg. Modified pyramid. So we're trying to get these legs open. Hands underneath the shoulders or on blocks is a great way to start, a great place to start. And then you can start to walk the hands forward if you're feeling like you need a little bit more. Then inhale forward to your lunge, hands down to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Hopefully feeling a little bit more even in the legs and the hips. You'll start to bend the knees, look forward, step or walk the feet forward, go slow. Feet between the hands, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold. 2 more. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, this time all the way up. Circle the arms as you come up to standing. Bring the hands together overhead and down in front of the heart. Coming into our Surya A's. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold all the way down. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway to chaturanga, cobra or up dog, whichever one you feel ready for. We've done some back bends on already, maybe up dog's calling. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, step, hop, walk, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Bring the hands together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold all the way down. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Bring the hands together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Tops of the feet for up dog. And only the hands and the tops of the feet are down for up dog. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Moving on, right foot steps up between the hands. Find that runner's lunge. Feet hip width distance apart. Come up onto the fingertips so the chest is a little bit higher. Drive down through that right heel, but keep some energy in the back leg. And then slowly reach the arms back behind you, lifting the chest. You're still keeping it low, but we're not touching the front thigh. And the heart's open. So it's like it's trying to reach forward ahead of that right knee. Keep digging into the legs to rise all the way up to crescent pose. Bend the left elbow, grab the left elbow with the right hand, and then see if you can get a little longer in that back leg as you reach up with the left elbow. Reach the arms all the way up. Bring the hands back down to the mat. Straighten the front leg. Back to modified pyramid. Inhale forward to your lunge. Left hand down, right arm up for that twist. You can stay like this, or you can look down at the mat and just turn the toes to the right on both feet. So you're coming onto the outer edges of both feet. It's a different opening in the hips. It might feel good. If it doesn't, just keep the toes pointing forward and you can skip this. You're still in the twist either way. Toes turn back to face forward, back in just your standard twisted lunge. Right hand comes down to the mat, step back to down dog, and then decide, do you want to stay here or take a vinyasa? Glide forward to plank pose, lower down halfway. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Feet hip width distance apart. Start by coming up onto the fingertips so you can ground down into the legs. And then when you feel ready, reach the arms back behind you. Keep the chest open, shoulder blades down the back. And once you find your stability, reach the arms forward and all the way up, crescent pose. Bend the right elbow, reach for the right elbow, and you're just helping the right hand go down and the right elbow go up. Keep that energy in the back leg. You want it to be super strong. Looking forward, reach the arms all the way back up. Hands come down to the mat, nice and slow. Straighten the front leg, fold over the front leg. Inhale forward to your lunge, right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up. Stay like this or look down at the mat, turn the toes over to the left, coming onto the outer edges of the feet. Toes come back forward if you took that. Left hand comes down to the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. Stay here or vinyasa. Following the breath, if you take the vinyasa, no need to rush them. Bending the knees, looking forward at the top of the mat. Step, walk, hop, feet up between the hands. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Press all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, bend the knees, back to plank pose, maybe a vinyasa, maybe you skip it and go to downward facing dog. Those are up to you. From downward facing dog, step the right foot up between the hands, come back into your runner's lunge, get light with the fingertips, maybe float them away from the mat, and then reach the arms back behind you, keeping the chest low without touching the thigh. Begin to rise all the way up, crescent pose. Bend the left elbow, reach for it. Find that stretch in the whole left side of the body. Keep that left leg strong. Reach the arms all the way back up, crescent pose. This time, reach the arms back behind you. Keep the chest reaching forward. So back to where we started. You're coming to warrior 3. So keep reaching the chest forward. Start to straighten the right leg, and the left leg is pushing back behind you. Level off the hips. Keep those inner thighs working. Crescent is our exit. Bend the standing leg, reach back with the ball of the foot. Arms come all the way back up. Hands come down to the mat. Straighten the front leg, fold over the front leg. So here it's our third time coming into this. If you want to lift the right toes up, that definitely makes things more intense. You might like it, or it's too much and you set the foot down and you're in modified pyramid either way. Set that right foot back down if you lifted it. Left hand underneath the left shoulder. Right arm reaches up for that twist. Toes can turn out if you like it. Back to center with the toes facing forward, hands down to the mat. Maybe a vinyasa, maybe you skip. Left foot steps up between the hands. Find your runner's lunge on this side. Get light in the fingertips. Reach the arms back behind you. Chest is low. Rise all the way up, crescent pose. Bend the right elbow. Grab it with the left hand. Strengthen that back leg, so make sure all the weight isn't just in the front leg. Then reach the arms all the way up. Arms go back behind you. Chest reaches forward, way forward, but the arms are still reaching back at the same time. Keep strength in both legs. You're shifting the weight forward to the left foot, but that right foot is still pressing away from you, like you're pushing the wall away from you. Level off the hips. That right hip wants to go higher than the left. Smooth out your breathing. Crescent. Bend the standing leg. Reach over to the right with the ball of the right foot. Arms come all the way back up. Hands come down to the mat. Straighten the front leg back to your pyramid. Maybe the left toes come up. Left toes come down to the mat. If you lifted them, right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up for that twist. Maybe the toes turn out. Come back to that twisted lunge with the toes pointing forward. Left hand comes down to the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa or hold down dog for 5 breaths. Bending the knees, looking forward, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose on your inhale. All the way up to standing on the exhale. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat, back to plank pose. Any way you want, back to downward facing dog. Right foot steps up between the hands. Get light in the fingertips, then reach the arms back behind you. Rising up, crescent pose. Bend the left elbow, grab that left elbow, keep that length in the back leg as you lift up through the upper body. Then reach the arms back up, crescent pose. Arms come back behind you, chest is reaching forward. Keep that energy in the back leg, it's strong, even as you begin to shift the weight forward to that right foot, coming into Virabhadrasana 3. Press out through both feet, level off the hips. Put a bend in that standing leg, reach back with the ball of the left foot, back to your crescent pose. Hands come down to the mat, straighten the front leg. Hands can walk forward, toes can come up. Customize this so you feel a nice opening in the back side of the right leg. Inhale forward to your lunge, left hand underneath the left shoulder, also in line with the left toes. Right arm reaches up. This time, turning the toes out to the right, you can heel toe this right foot back halfway, press into the foot and lift the hips up. So you're in a modified version of side plank. Some of you might be comfortable taking side plank from here. So feet stack. Right arm can reach up and over. And you're making your way back to downward facing dog. So you're coming from side plank. Maybe you skip the vinyasa, maybe you modify it. Maybe you feel pretty good and you want to take it. Left foot steps up between the hands. Get light in the fingertips, ground down through the legs, reach the arms back behind you, chest reaching forward, then rise all the way up, crescent pose. Bend the right elbow, reach for it, reach for it. Right leg is really strong as you lift up the upper body. Then reach the arms all the way back up, crescent. Chest reaches forward, arms reach back. Get that energy in the back leg. Keep it there as you start to shift the weight forward, pressing that right leg away from you. Inner thighs are working. So that right inner thigh is spinning up, left inner thigh is spinning back. Crescent when you're ready, bend the standing leg, reach back with the ball of the right foot. Arms come all the way back up. Hands down to the mat on the exhale, straighten the front leg. Maybe lift the toes, walk the hands forward, let the head and the neck go. Inhale forward to your lunge, right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up. Turn the toes out to the left. Heel toe this left foot back halfway. Press into the sole of the left foot to lift the hips up. You'll feel that whole right side of the body fire up. Stay here or maybe play with stacking the feet for Vashisthasana side plank. Left palm can turn forward and reach up and over the ear. Hands down to the mat, back to plank pose, vinyasa, down dog, you choose. Bending the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, step, walk, float, feet forward. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, come into chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog. You have 5 breaths to get there. Right foot steps up between the hands. Float the fingertips away from the mat, reach the arms back behind you, chest open, rise all the way up, crescent pose. Bend the left elbow, grab the top of the left elbow, reach up, left leg's really strong here. Tone the belly. Then arms reach all the way back up for your crescent pose. Keep that energy in the back leg. Start to reach the chest forward and the arms back. Warrior 3, shift forward, keep that energy in the back leg, level off the hips. Left arm reaches down in front of the left shoulder, right arm reaches up, twisted half moon. Keep those inner thighs working, belly hugs in as you rotate the chest open. Left hand doesn't have to touch anything. You're just reaching the fingertips away from one another. Back to warrior 3, crescent. Reach back with the ball of the left foot, arms come all the way up. Hands down to the mat, straighten the front leg, back to your pyramid. Come forward to your lunge, left hand underneath the left shoulder, right arm reaches up. You can do any version of side plank. So maybe you just do a modified version with the toes turning out. Maybe you walk the foot back halfway. Maybe you stack the feet. If you stack the feet, option, stepping the right big toe back behind you lightly, reaching the right arm up and over, and lifting the hips up. So those glutes are pressing the hips up and you're pushing the mat away from you. Back to Vashisthasana if you took that option. We'll all come back to downward facing dog. I'd recommend skipping the vinyasa, but it's up to you. I think it depends on what you did. All right, other side. Left foot steps up between the hands. Feet hip width distance, get light in the fingertips. Reach the arms back behind you, chest reaching forward, all the way up, crescent pose. Bend the right elbow, grab for that right elbow, lift up and press back with that right leg. Hug the belly in. Then reach the arms all the way up. Arms back, chest forward. Energy in that right leg as you shift forward to Vira 3. Take your time with it. You can take a couple of hops. Press out through both feet, get those inner thighs working. Right arm reaches down toward the mat, left arm reaches up. So open the chest to the left, scissor those inner thighs. Your core's working hard to keep you supported. Back to crescent, bend the standing leg, reach the arms all the way back up. Hands come down to the mat, straighten the front leg, fold over the front leg. Option to lift the toes on the left foot. Inhale forward to your lunge, right hand down, left arm up. Then maybe what you did on the first side, find a version of side plank. If the feet are stacked, you can step the left big toe back behind you, lift the hips up as high as you can with the glutes, and then maybe the left arm reaches up and over. Keep pushing the mat away from you. Try not to lock down into the elbow or the right shoulder joints. Back to side plank if the big toe is back behind you. Back to plank pose. Maybe straight back to downward facing dog. You have time for a vinyasa if you want one. And from downward facing dog, bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. So legs are really open. Keep the hands on the hips and just step the left foot back 2/3 of the way. So those left toes are pointing out toward 11 o'clock-ish. Square the hips forward. And then from here, reach the arms all the way up. So you're pressing down into the legs and you're reaching up through the fingertips. So upper body's going up, lower body's going down. Start to reach forward, just come forward about halfway. Legs stay straight. Pressing into the big toe mound of that right foot to pull the right hip back and left hip comes forward. Now you can bring the hands down to the mat, blocks, fingertips, folding forward, coming into your pyramid pose, Tanasana. You're pressing evenly into all four corners of the feet. Getting a really nice stretch in the legs. Then lift the chest up halfway. Keep those legs fired up. Left hand, you can be on fingertips inside the foot. You can grab the ankle and lift the chest up a little bit higher. Or for the most intense version, left hand can go outside of the right foot. Right arm reaches up, coming into your twisted triangle. So keep those inner thighs working. Spread the arms apart wherever you are. Keep lengthening the spine, even though you're twisting. Hands come back down to the mat. Bend that right knee, step the left foot forward, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold, chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Press yourself up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Hands to the hips. This time we step the right foot back 2/3 of the way. Right toes point toward 1 o'clock-ish. Square the hips forward. Reach the arms up. So feel that division of energy. Legs go down, upper body reaches up. So you're really long, but also feel really stable. Start to come forward about halfway. You'll feel the legs turn on, which is why we're pausing halfway. They should be really fired up underneath you. See if you can keep that, even though you're going to come all the way down. So hands come down to the mat, fingertips, maybe even blocks underneath the hands. Let the head and the neck go. There's a little bit of scissoring of the inner thighs. So that left hip can go back and the right hip can go forward. Sometimes there's a tendency to get light in that left big toe mound. Make sure you press down to pull that hip back, left hip back, right hip forward. Keeping the fingertips down on the mat, lift the chest as high as you can. Right hand on the fingertips, maybe inside the foot, on the ankle, really light, or outside the foot. Scissor those inner thighs, reach the chest forward, reach the left arm up if the shoulder feels open enough. If not, you can always bring left hand to the left hip. And you're trying to get long here. So legs are already long, get longer in the spine, and then see where that twist takes you. Looking down at the mat, bring the hands back down to the mat. Bend that left leg, step forward, feet together. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Last vinyasa if you want it. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Bring the knees down to the mat, feet over to one side, and you're coming to seated. on the mat. Scoot yourself forward so there's plenty of space behind you and come down onto your back. Once you come down onto your back, grab the outer edges of the mat like you're going to rip it apart. You'll feel the shoulder blades go underneath you. Walk the feet in so the heels are underneath the knees. Press into the feet. Keep pulling the mat apart. Get those shoulder blades underneath you. Lift and spread the chest. You can stay like this, or you can interlace the fingers underneath you coming into your bridge pose. And slowly start to release. Hips come back down to the mat. Rest here. Another round, bridge pose. Press into the feet, lift the hips up, interlace the fingers, or if you liked grabbing the outer edges of the mat, do that. Slowly release on the exhale. Let the hips touch down to the mat. Then let them be heavy. You just kind of let everything go for a moment. Take another breath in through the nose. Back out through the nose. Final round, bridge pose. If you want something deeper, you're welcome to take it. Maybe Ardha Navasana. Skip it. Stick with bridge if that seems like it's going to be too much today. Next, exhale, bring the hips back down to the mat. Bring the knees together and the feet wide, just the way we started, arms out to the sides. And you can reach the arms out straight outside the shoulder. You could even cactus the arms if you don't have enough space. Either one works. And then let the knees go side to side like windshield wipers. Feet are still wide on the mat. Then you'll come back to center, heel toe the feet back to hip width distance. Cross the right leg high up over the left leg. So it's like eagle legs on your back. Inner thighs crossed up as high as you can. And then bring the knees in toward the chest. You can grab on to that left knee, the bottom knee, and bring the legs in closer. This probably feels good for a lot of us. Hopefully it feels good for everybody. Hips are going down toward the mat, even though you're trying to bring the knees in. If you want to take this deeper, you could flex the feet so toes point up toward the sky, reach forward, and you grab either the outer ankles, calves, or you can grab the outer edges of the feet. Rest the head back down onto the mat. And then keeping the legs crossed, just release the feet if you have them, grabbing onto that left knee back behind you. You can start to relax the feet. Set that left foot down onto the mat, right leg still crossed. Scoot the hips over to the right, knees go over to the left. If it's too much to keep the legs crossed, just uncross them and stack the knees for your spinal twist. Head reaches or gaze falls over the right arm. That's right outside the shoulder. You can bring the gaze back up, uncross the legs, bring the feet back to the mat. Once the feet are on the mat, you'll cross the left leg high up over the right leg. Bring the knees in toward the chest. Grab onto that bottom knee to start. See how this feels. This might be a great place to stay. Otherwise, you could point the toes up, separate the feet as much as you can, then you reach forward, grab whatever's there. Calf, ankles, outer edges of the feet if you can grab them. Rest the head. Feet are flexed. Hips are still going down toward the mat, even though the knees are coming in toward the chest. If you have the feet or ankles start to release, just grab onto that bottom knee, the right knee, letting the feet relax. Then start to set that right foot down onto the mat. You're keeping the legs crossed if it's okay with the lower back. Scoot the hips over to the left. Knees come over to the right this time. You can just rest the right hand on the thigh. Left arm reaches back behind you and you're in your twist. You can always uncross the legs if you're feeling any tenderness anywhere. And this is definitely one of those spinal twists that doesn't work for everybody, but we did a lot of internal hip rotation. So we're doing it today to see if it works. If it doesn't, no biggie. You'll bring the head back up, uncross the legs, bringing the knees together, feet come back to the mat. Hug the right knee in toward the chest and extend the right leg up. So you're grabbing onto the back of the right thigh. You're a lot more open than you were at the beginning when we first did this. So it's probably, for most of us, okay to extend the left leg forward. Right leg can come in close to the face. You might be able to start to walk the hands up toward the foot, maybe onto the calf, ankle. Some of you might be able to grab the big toe with the first two fingers and the thumb. If that's the case, you could take it a little deeper, bring the left hand to the top of the left thigh and start to bring the head up and the knee together. So head lifts away from the mat, head comes up toward the knee, and you're continuing to bring that leg in. This should feel like a nice stretch in the legs. You've got that. Start to let it go, bringing the head back down onto the mat. Hug the right knee into the chest wherever you are. Set the right foot down. Hug the left knee in toward the chest. Extend the left leg up, interlace the fingers behind the back of the left thigh. Right leg can go out in front of you, so both legs are nice and long. And then here's where you play. Maybe you start to walk the hands up the leg, finding your stretch on this side. Maybe you grab the big toe with the first two fingers and the thumb. If you want to take it even further, right hand on top of the right thigh to keep that right thigh going down toward the mat. And then you start to bring the leg, the head and the knee together. So head lifts up, leg comes in, and there's your stretch. Start to set the head back down onto the mat. If it's lifted, hug the left knee in toward the chest. Set the left foot down onto the mat. And let's take Sup Tabata Kanasana. So a nice external hip rotation. Soles of the feet together, knees out wide. Bring the arms out by the sides. You might need to lift the chest to get the shoulder blades underneath you. If you're feeling any tenderness in the lower back, lifting up the hips and moving the glutes toward the feet helps give a little bit more length in the lower back. And then close the eyes. You can start to take a deep breath in through the nose, back out through the nose. And we're here for about a minute. If you want any support underneath the legs, like blocks, pillows, blankets, whatever you have, grab those. If it becomes too intense, the feet moving away from you makes it less intense. And you'll take the hands to the outer thighs to help bring the knees back together. Extend the legs out in front of you, coming into your Savasana. You're also welcome to take a seated meditation if that sounds like it would be a better way to close your practice. You choose. Close the eyes. Commit to stillness. Get yourself comfortable to a place where you can stay still. See what that stillness has to offer today. And you'll start to take a deeper breath in through the nose, back out through the nose. Softly start to blink open the eyes and place the hands on the body, maybe left hand on the heart, right hand on the belly. Start to walk the feet in, bending the legs. And you'll make your way onto your right side, cradling the head and the arm. Using the hands, bring yourself up to an easy cross-legged seat, coming into your meditation seat. Eyes closed if you can, sitting up tall, bringing the hands together in front of you, bowing the head, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you. Hope you had a great practice and you're feeling good for the rest of your day.